Well, hey, how's it going, everybody? Happy fall. Happy October the 6th, 2025. It looks like fall, but it doesn't feel like fall because it's 80 degrees. But hey, I'm not complaining. I'm enjoying it. I'm just like this weekend. We had an amazingly nice weather weekend there. Ernie and I were on Sundays on State there. We saw Jay City Walking Girl. I posted that. Thanks to everybody that supported Jay there with her shop there, her black plants. That's it. I guess they like a different amount of light, and she owns that shop, and you can check out her online business, and she has the pop-up shops there. Chris, how you doing there? Thanks for tuning in here. Yeah, we're at Lake in Michigan. There's the Wrigley building. We'll cross the street. Doesn't look too crowded at Nutella there. There's Nando's. They got the window open. There's the Prudential there. The Hazel Johnson mural there. We checked that out this morning there. So, hey, we'll head down to Millennium Park. We'll check out the Bean. See if anything else is shaking there. So thanks for being on there. Yeah, Lake in Michigan. Yeah, there's Nutella. Put your name on the jar there. Yeah, taco jalapeno salsa. How you doing there? Sheridan. Yeah, Wes. Thanks for tuning in there. Thanks everybody for checking out the content there over the weekend. Look at all we packed in. There was so much going on, and we just saw a small sliver. But the things we saw were amazing. We saw the Moon Festival there at Chinatown there on Saturday. And all this stuff you can watch reruns on there if you missed it. You watched that K-pop dance competition. I'm still working on the reruns. We took a water taxi ride. I posted that at night. See the skyline of Chicago. Here's Garrett's Popcorn. If you just joined, we're in Chicago. We're on Michigan Avenue. Here's Auntie Anne's Cinnabon. Rainbow Cone. We're just north of Randolph here. We're heading to Millennium Park. We're going to check out the Bean. It's my lunch break. Yeah, Rainbow Cone, Cinnabon. I'm glad to see it's open there. They're making deliveries. And hey, the sunshine feels great. 80 degrees. Yeah, Taco, Krista, Wes, Sheridan. That's great, Chris. Thanks everybody for tuning in there. Good afternoon. And then yesterday, yeah, we did Sundays on State. We hooked up with, Ernie. Ernie was with us the whole day. And he was live streaming too. And then we hooked up with Overtime Seb. Went down to Maxwell Street after we hooked up with Jay City Walking Girl there at her pop-up shop. Check out Jay City Walking Girl there. And her plants, the black plants. And went down to Maxwell Street. Got me a Polish style hot dog there at the Jim's Original. And then we went to Pilsen and we went to the meeting, the big meetup there at St. Pius. Amazing lineup of speakers, true people on the front lines battling fascism here in America that's creeping in, and national civil rights leaders. I was humbled to be in their presence. I mean, it was amazing people that are dedicating their lives to activism, and thanks to Ernie for joining me for that. And I cut out clips of the individual speakers there. I was trying to keep them as much as possible under 3 minutes. I still have to work on the final speaker piece. She had the half an hour to speak, and she said a lot of stuff, so we'll work on that. And again, I'm not, if your political opinion is different from mine, I understand that. You understand my First Amendment free speech rights to use my channel how I want to promote the voices and highlight, and I don't necessarily agree with everything all the speakers said. I agree with some of the things they said, and I certainly respect their right to say it, and they deserve a forum. And thanks to the organization there for having that meeting in St. Pius, and the pastor was there. He spoke. Ernie says St. Pius does a lot of outreach for the local community there. As the pastor, he spoke in Spanish and English. They have been supporting migrant communities in Pilsen for decades, and Ernie can attest to that. And they do meals for needy people. And Mass was getting out there yesterday. It was Sunday, and we went to the basement of the church for churches were historically used as the public meeting halls for our democracy. And think of that, still this day, you know, and think of the civil rights movement and everything there. So Mike, that's your opinion. You're allowed to think it and say it. I don't agree with it. I strongly disagree. And I think both parties have problems. You know, I'm sure you're aware of the problems the Democrats have. The Republican Party has major problems too. And whatever that argument you make, how is that going to convince people to change anything? We're just arguing with ourselves, you know. And so maybe you felt better by saying that statement. What's your argument to convince people? Because I don't agree with your statement. If I don't agree with your statement, how are you going to use it to convince me or persuade me? And I guess that's not even your intention. Your intention is just to show the world that you disagree with me, which is fine. That's your right. Keep on doing it there. Here we are at Millennium Park here. Thanks for tuning into Chicago. We're not all bad people. We're just trying to do the best we can and hope our government doesn't attack us along with the migrant groups that are being attacked military style here. I know you don't like Democrats and Biden, but Biden didn't call the military out on you, I guess, unless you were in the January 6th riots. And Biden wasn't president when January 6th happened. Trump was. So Biden wasn't even in power to do anything about it at that time, even though he was elected. Here's the Great Bean of Chicago. Say, hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Chicago. Here's the Great Bean of Chicago. And look at that. Yeah, 80 degrees, beautiful sunshine. It feels like a summer day here, October the 6th. And it is a summer day. The trees are still green. The fountains are still on, except for the Centennial Fountain. Here's the Great Bean of Chicago. Yeah. So there's not a man in the bean. I so tire of the stupid conspiracy theories. It shows you people want to believe in the rapture and they want to believe in the boogeyman and the Tooth Fairy. Yeah, you can believe there's a man in the bean there. He's living it up. He's buying Bitcoin. The man in the bean voted for Trump. The man in the bean's a pedophile. There, he's got a little kid in there, and you know that's what it's all about there. Yeah. So he'll go straight to the top there. He'll run the whole political party there from the bean. He's sending messages to you, ESP. The man in the bean sending messages to ESP there. So he's controlling your mind there from inside the bean there. The great kazoo there. Kazoo. So hey, thanks for tuning in. Here. Well, all these people making stupid comments. Thanks for continuing to make me lose faith in humanity. I lose faith in myself. I'm a nihilist. I believe in nothing. I have no moral compass. I'm amoral. I'm here to destroy America and destroy you. Yeah, there you go. So you got me on record. You figured me out. I'm a great anarchist here. I'm just a nihilist. That's why I invest in the stock market. I think it's about nothing. Just exploiting people, reaping profits. You hang out with the board of directors there and yuck it up there. The vast wasteland of the internet here. Yeah, thanks for being a part of it here. So hey, let's head through the loop here. Let's see what's going on in the city of Chicago. This is par for the course. I've been doing this for 3 years. Do your worst. We spent 2.5 years on TikTok, and it's infested with trolls. YouTube's infested with trolls. And, you know, I expect people's opinions different mine, but you're not going to change my mind. I'm not going to change yours, so I'm not going to try to change yours. We'll move on here. So thanks for tuning in here. We'll go, they had it off, and they turned it back on, the Crown Fountain there. And it's warm enough that people are in the water today. October the 6th, 2025, people are in the water. Here's the Willoughby Tower. Loop's looking nice. How's it going there? Yeah. Pete, how you doing there? Hazlet Mission. Kelly Quinn, how you doing there? Thanks, Kelly. Thanks for the good background. Yeah, they're going to call me a radical. They're going to call me an unhinged person. You know, I do have anger issues, as my mods well know, but who doesn't have anger and issues with these angry times? It's very hard for me to watch the news without getting angry and start yelling at the TV screen at politicians trying to destroy my peace. This is the first time in my, it's not the first time in my life, but probably the most serious time where I actually feel like my government is not for me, like my government wants to destroy the city I love and the people that make up this city, and one part of America wants to destroy the other. And I know the right feels that way. You felt under siege 4 years under Biden. We didn't realize how you felt until the revenge part, and that's what we're in, the revenge part of politics here. Yeah, a little bean there. Yeah, taco, 77 degrees there. Yeah, isn't it? And Sheridan, isn't it amazing? That's a chilling effect of, they don't want us to pay attention. Because they're making it so cruel. They don't want people to pay attention to the news, because then they can get away with what they're getting away with. And you know, we can hide. Oops, we can hide in our bunker. But the reality of those that use forces, you know, think of the Rage Against the Machine song. Some of those using forces are the same ones burning crosses. And what does that mean? You know, the people calling Kristi Noem's number to work for ICE, if you're a white supremacist, a racist person, the government's asking you to call a number so you can round up brown and black people and work for the government, and they'll pay you to do it. And if you disagree with my statement, think about it. Are they vetting people? How are they vetting people working for ICE? They're not asking them if they're certainly not asking them woke questions or DEI. And I know there's people of color that work for ICE. They have to rationalize that in their own mind. And there's always been, believe me, even back in the cowboy and Indians days, there were Native Americans that would give information on rival tribes that they know that the U.S. government was going to destroy, divide and conquer. And that's how they divide and conquer, pitted one nation of Native Americans against the other. The British did the same thing. They'll do the same thing to the left. They'll pit the Black Lives Matter against the Palestinian protesters when they both have a common person they're fighting against. And the left's very weak now. The left is fractured. Too many competing. The coalition's breaking apart, and that's exactly what they want. Here's the brown line. Here's the brown line here. Wabash here, Loop of Chicago. Thanks for tuning in. I think it's important. Like people are like, why do I just walk around here at lunch? It's important for people to see what's going on in real time. Yes, there's crime in the city, but you can still walk around the downtown during lunchtime. And we were in Pilsen Little Village, or Pilsen on the west side there yesterday, and there wasn't too many people on the streets because it was a Sunday. People were enjoying the weather. So hey, we'll head over towards State Street. They got the skeletons on State Street. This is Wabash, Loop of Chicago. Thanks for tuning in here. We were just here yesterday. We were at State Street, so I'm retracing my steps here, but that's okay. We'll head a little further west there. Stalin, how you doing? Stalin Xavier. Wow, nice name there. Yeah, Kelly Quinn. Well, I have to acknowledge, as much as, people know my own personal politics differ from most people. I'm not mainstream. I acknowledge that my audience spans the gamut. There's people from the left and the right. There's people even further left than me. We saw some of them yesterday at the meeting. And somehow we got to keep this all together. If I need to put my money where my mouth is, if I believe in First Amendment free speech, I have to defend the words of Charlie Kirk, who I don't agree with, but I defended his right to say it, and he should not have been murdered for his speech, even if you don't agree with his speech. And us on the left, we have to acknowledge that. But at the same time, I'm not going to stand here and give up ground to the right, and the right trying to silence or cancel comedians or guilt people and turn him into a saint when he wasn't. He was a flawed human being just like everybody else, you know. And here we're heading across State Street here. Yeah, they got the skeletons. Yeah, they're checking out the skeletons here, the skeletons on State Street. We were on State Street yesterday. It looked so nice with the Sundays on State. They had this closed down. This is where we saw Jay City Walking Girl. You can check out that rerun I posted of her plant shop there. She owns that. And thanks to Jay for saying hello. And I need to do more to support our local Chicago-based businesses and local content creators like Jay City Walking Girl. She's been doing it for years, like I have as well. Jones Hall, 7 West Madison Street. Jones Hall, School of Arts Institute, Chicago, right there. This is a vintage Chicago. This is Chicago, or the early vintage skyscraper here in Chicago. I think it's called the Chicago Building. Block north is the Reliant Building. Well, here we're heading towards Dearborn Street. We'll get to Clark. Someone was asking about Clark Street this morning. Clark Street runs a long way, especially on the north side. Doesn't go too far on the south side, but yeah, architecture, you got it there. Yeah, free the Americans. Wes, how you doing there? Yeah. Hey Sheridan, thanks. T-Lime Tea Time. Yeah, Joshua. Yeah, Toronto's a nice city. Yeah, I don't rank cities. There's things that Chicago does better than Toronto. There's many things that Toronto does better than Chicago. Probably more things that Toronto does better than Chicago. But Toronto has problems too. I saw some people from Toronto visiting Chicago, and they were remarking on our three-dimensional stack cities, the streets below the streets, and they got on Wacker Drive, and they were amazed that we've got all this infrastructure here. So hey, I like Canada, I like Toronto. This is Dearborn Street. You got the 2-lane bike path here. Yeah, let's check out them. Let's check out the construction progress on the Chase Plaza here. The Marc Chagall mosaics are over here, but it's under construction, so we can't see them here. Yeah, both cities are great. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for understanding that nothing's ever better or worse. You know, it becomes like sports teams rivalries. You know, you don't have to put down another city to have pride in your own city, and it's the hard thing for. We all categorize things. I do the same thing. But I personally have no problem with J.B. Pritzker, but I lean to the left, you know, and I don't think it'll surprise you. It's because, you know, I've lived in Chicago for 26 years. So I think the first governor when I was here, his name was Jim Ryan. He was disgraced. It was a scandal. He was a Republican governor. And that was before Blagojevich. Blagojevich, of course, a disgraced Democratic governor. So the joke in Illinois and Chicago is we send our governors, both Republican and Democratic, to retire in jail. And Paul, what's his name? Jim Ryan or Paul Ryan? I forget. It was he went to jail, and then Blagojevich went to jail, and we know why that was. Trying to sell the seat vacated by Barack Obama after he became president. And now politicians do that and don't go to jail. What Blagojevich went to jail for, politicians are doing right now. They're just taking money and outright getting bribed. You can stay at the you can buy Trump's cryptocurrency, and they don't think that's influencing it. But they certainly, if Blagojevich would have did it, they would have been like, look at this, he's selling the seat. And it's true, both of them are wrong. Both Blagojevich and Trump are wrong for the same reason. But here's the Chase. There's the Marc Chagall mosaics. This is all under construction here. This plaza. We're down here at. Here's the Inland Steel Building. So you talk about Chicago architecture. This is an early modern skyscraper here. The Inland Steel Building. You see how there's no columns on the corner, and the elevator bank is on the side. So these are open floor plates. And here, let's head across the street here. We'll show it here. Inland Steel Building here, Chicago, Illinois. I think Skidmore, Rowings and Merrill was the architecture firm. This is Dearborn, goes down to Dearborn Station. And now so many buildings, including the Citicorp building in New York, don't have the columns on the corner. This is probably one of the first ones, built in the 1960s, I think, the Inland Steel Building, or maybe the late 1950s even. So here, let's head across here. And let's keep going south here. Hey, the Book of Mormon's at the CIBC Theater there. But, you know, J.B. Pritzker's not perfect. I don't put as much stock in any politician. Like, I never got as excited about a Democratic candidate, presidential or governor or local, even Barack Obama. I never got as excited about them as people on the other side seem to get excited about Trump. Some people really worship him almost as a deity. And I've never worshipped any politician, especially on the left, that much. Because I realize they're just politicians. They're not kings. They're not divinely inspired leaders or you know. I don't know when did we believe in the divine right of presidents, like divine right of kings? I thought that was the whole reason we fought against the British Empire. And how easily we forget, like the ancient Israelites. We left Egypt and we want the king back. We want the pharaoh back. We want to know what it feels like. Yeah. Culture aspect. Yeah, so I'll cut out that. We got that nice, we went inside there. We checked out the Marquette building. You know, since I'm here, you might not have seen it before. Yeah, we can walk out through the food hall. I showed this before, but I don't mind showing it again. This is the Marquette building. He's here 15th of Europe living, and here it shows it. Yeah, is a wonderful map here. It shows the territorial claims or regions at the time that were controlled way. Miami, Ottawa, Menominee. We know all these. Some of them are the names of the streets. You know, Delaware. Their rivals called them. The same thing happened to the Sioux. The Sioux called themselves Lakota, but then their enemies called them the Sioux, which was a pejorative, and then the Americans called them the Sioux. And we got Sioux City Falls and Sioux City Sarsaparilla. Here, the Fat Shallot. Here's this food court here. We've gone through here before here, and this is a food hall here. It's called Sterling Food Hall. Sterling Food Hall. That's where we're at here. Hello, how you doing? It's me. We've got hot chicken. I was afraid to try it because I didn't have anything to drink. I've been afraid it was too hot for me, but signal's weak. Okay, we're moving out of here. Thanks for the feedback here. See, that's the problem with me walking through there. A lot of times I lose my signal. I got complacent because I was able to stream through there last week, and so I thought I'd try it again. And so isn't it amazing? I was able to stream there last week, and this week I'm not able to, so I'll have to cut out the footage from last week. That's okay. Okay, now, hey, thanks, D-Line Tea Time. Yeah, I go in those big, huge buildings there with the thick walls, and we lose the signal, so we'll head out of here. They're pulling out the alley here. We'll head around the center. Now we're on Clark Street. We'll head back towards Daily Plaza here. And what time we got here? 12:26. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Chicago here. We got 12:26 in the PM. I'm on my lunch break here. We're just walking through the loop of Chicago. We're on Clark Street. We're heading up towards Daily Plaza. We just went through the Marquette building. And I never get tired of going through there. Even though I always lose my signal when I go in there. I keep trying and trying and trying. Yeah, lunch bunch. Prince, how you doing there, Terry? Yeah, Gisela. Thank you. Oh yeah, they got the shredded money in the Money Museum. Yeah, I know what you're talking about there. Yeah, you go to Federal Reserve here. I'll kind of show you generally. I got a rerun where we went through there. We went through the Fed Museum. You just got to go through a metal detector. It's free. You just have to go through security check because it's in the Federal Reserve building there on LaSalle Street. And they got like $1 million in a cube, and then they got like shredded money. They'll give you $3.80 or $380 worth of shredded money. It's only the serial number. They discontinued the serial number. There, this is Harris Trust and Savings Bank here, formerly. They want to turn this into housing here. 1882. Harris, you heard of BMO Harris Bank, and now it's just BMO. Everything gets bought out. Germany, how you doing there? Yeah, Rage Against the Machine there, Darren. I appreciate that. I'm just amazed. We had the national leader for the Revolutionary Black Panther Party was one of the speakers at that event we went through there on Sunday. And is it a coincidence? We'll never he lived in the building that was raided on the South Shore. He's an American. Is it a coincidence that the place where the national leader of the Revolutionary Black Panther Party was forced out by ICE because he lived in a building where there were, they were trying to get the Venezuelan undocumented migrants, but they forced all the U.S. citizens out, including him. He was part of that. He gave us a first-hand testimony of what happened last Tuesday, and that's why we went there. And Ernie got detained by ICE. Stuck a taser in his rib. He's a U.S. citizen. It's just the Supreme Court says racial profiling is allowed. Are we losing something? And here, let me head across here. Here's the Board of Trade. Here's the LaSalle Street, the Board of Trade. I'm trying to get on the side of the street where we can get in the shadow here because it's kind of hard to film this direction because of the sun. But there we got 1229. Let me get the scaffolding. It's kind of blocking my way here. There we go. Now we can see it. Now we can see the Board of Trade there. Yeah, just watch my live streams there. That's why I tell people, people always ask me to go to like the west or the south side, the perceived incorrectly, rightly or wrongly so, the more dangerous areas of the city of Chicago. And we do go to those areas. We were in, but mostly I'm downtown and on the north side. So hey, thanks for tuning in here. And that's why I said this is a type of tour. People are always like, you should give tours. I'm like, well, this is a tour here. It's just a virtual tour. But here it is, the Chicago Board of Trade. You might recognize it from The Untouchables or Batman movie or Public Enemies or Road to Perdition. There, the sun went behind the cloud there, so now we got a reprieve there. We can actually kind of see the Art Deco. And here's the Rookery. We've got videos where we go inside there, check out the interior lobby that was redesigned by Frank Lloyd Wright, but it was Halliburton Route, and we go by John Wellborn Route's historic residence sometimes. There's the Sears Tower. So hey, we made it to the Sears Tower here. We're on Adams Street and LaSalle, loop of Chicago. This is an amazing building too. Let me cross the street and show you it. Here's it's a gesture to the Masonic skyscraper that was torn down there on State Street, but it's a financial services building, U.S. Bank. Now here's the that used to be the Double Hotel. I don't know what it's called now. It's called the Midland Hotel. So the W Hotel brand has left Chicago. There was a W Hotel on Lakeshore Drive by Ohio Street Beach, and there was a W Hotel here. Now they've all changed brands. That's just called the Midland Hotel. Huh. Yeah, jaywalking. You gonna turn me in? You're gonna call the cops on me? Well, I was talking to Overtime Seb about that. Before 1920, it wasn't illegal to jaywalk. People were allowed to walk in those streets. That's why you see those old black and white silent films. People were always crossing the street in front of the trolleys, and you're like, why? They're gonna get run over. It's because there was no jaywalking laws until the automobile lobby and the automobile industry lobbied the government to create all these laws, because if you owned a car, you had more rights than the people that didn't own a car. It was to promote the product here. It was called progress, and that's how we get jaywalking laws. So thanks General Motors. Not only did you destroy the LA trolley system, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you also destroyed the pedestrians' ability to control the streets here. Look at this thing. Look at that. That's right in the sidewalk, or it's in the asphalt there. Somebody put that there. People are putting art in the sidewalk. It's a new way. Instead of on the side of buildings, you put it right in the street there. There's the Sears Tower. There's the Sears Tower in all its glory there, Adams Street. There's 311 South Wacker here. Ernie, how you doing there? Lorraine, how you doing there? Gene, Manchester, Tennessee. Yeah, Route 41. I know Route 41. That's the Lakeshore Drive becomes Route 41. You could take it through Indiana all the way through Tennessee, like you said, take it to Florida. It was one of the like Dixie highways, you know, that went from Chicago to Florida. Highway 41, yeah, it still exists. Just like Route 66. Route 66 started in Chicago. And so I would walk straight through there. You can walk. Let's do an experiment. I'm gonna take the phone off the gimbal here. So it's gonna be shaky for a second. I'm just gonna act like I'm a normal person here. So this was the AT&T building, and this was always considered part of the Pedway in my mind, but you realize now it's corporate space, and it's not public. A lot of these corporate towers, the corporations that control the space, they would let the Pedway use it, but they control it because they're worried about homeless people sleeping here on weekends. And so I tried to film this several times with my gimbal, and I always get questioned by the security. So we'll head straight through here, and then we'll put the gimbal back on. But see, this is in the late 1980s, just like the 311. They built these amazingly tall spaces. Look how there's an atrium up there. It goes right through the tall. And this used to be AT&T, and now it's I think a bunch of other offices here. But see how you can walk straight through from one street to the other. It takes the whole half of the block here. It's called I don't even know what the name of this building is now. They changed it here. There it is, 227 West Monroe. 227 West Monroe, that's the name of this building here. So, hey, we'll put the phone back on the gimbal here. Look, I was able to make it through there. Usually I'm not able to make it through there. But I had to, trust me, if my phone was on the gimbal, they would have said something. You see all that security we walk past? So corporations are governments in their own right. And we gotta, sometimes the corporation will throw you in jail too to protect their profits. Here's, or their liability more often. They can always outspend you with lawyers. But here we're crossing Monroe Street. This is Monroe, and this is Franklin Street here, loop of Chicago. Oops, how you doing? Hey, you got the food trucks here. Very nice.
Yeah, you want to.
Yeah. No, I am not married. Thanks for tuning in here. Let's see. Good afternoon there. Yeah. Ricky, how you doing there? Christy M. Lorraine, yeah. Ricardo's tuning in there. Abby. There was somebody tuning in from Tennessee. That's why I was talking about Tennessee. What in Tennessee? The same thing Arkansas. See Franklin and Arcade Place. These alleys here. We don't often walk up and down Franklin here. Why not? Today's the day. Oh, the car's coming out. Oh, yeah. What time we got? 12:36. Yeah, let's just head up to the Riverwalk. We'll see what's shaking up there. Such a beautiful day. So if you missed it, we did walk by the Bean earlier. And now it feels hot. Here's the La Quinta Inn. There's the La Quinta Inn and Suites right in the loop of Chicago here. Yeah. See, positive, negatives, everything. Even marriage. I'm not against it. It just never happened. And here, Franklin and Madison. There, we got 10 seconds to get across here. Yeah, we were over there earlier there. PNC Center. Yeah, I heard Fifth Third Bank bought out another bank there. Let's see. Let's head over. Let's head over to Wabash here. I feel like heading over to Wabash. Look at this giant parking garage. One time we checked out the parking garage that was used in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. We found where they valeted the car. I think it's right over there. Yeah, tonight the Cubs play in Milwaukee. 8:08's the start time. It's a late evening game to be in the prime time there. 8:08 this evening tonight. Monday is the second game. The Cubs versus the Milwaukee Brewers there. The Milwaukee took game number 1 pretty convincingly, but the Cubs will give another try tonight, and then they come back to Chicago. 2 more games if needed. Here's there's the Brown line pulling into the Washington Wells station here. Loop of Chicago. Here's all the divvy bikes. No, the Chicago Wells and Madison Street here. So we'll head up past the restaurants here. We'll walk up Wells Street. We'll head up to the Chicago Riverwalk on the Chicago River in Chicago. See what Chicagoans are doing in Chicago. Here's Wells Street. You might recognize it from the Blues Brothers. There's a train pulling out the station there. Hey, Arby's, Cafecito. There's a Cafecito up by me. It's a Cuban restaurant. They make the nice coffee, sweet coffee. Just get you a Jamocha shake. No, that's a good question. I should have checked. I should have checked the weather. You're right. I failed to check the weather, and because I got caught up at work, and so here, let me check the weather to see when the rain's going to hit there. Now, probably my luck, the rain's moving up. I'm going to risk it with the rain. It says there's a 35% chance. So, unless that changes there, yeah, I might get wet walking home, but I'll try to walk home in my normal time. And then we'll get to look for Halloween decorations as I walk home from work. That's usually what we do in the evenings. We look for Halloween decorations, especially this time of year as we're going through spooky season here. We're heading up Wells Street here, and we're going up to the Chicago Riverwalk there. You see the pink line? It's going north there on the Loop of Chicago. Let's get across the street here. So, hey, Randolph. No, this is no, I take that back. This is Washington Street. Washington Street. So here we're heading up Wells Street next to the elevated train tracks here, Loop of Chicago. I work for an architecture engineering firm. Thanks for tuning in there. Yeah, I get that question a lot. Yeah, I've worked in Chicago for 26 years in different architecture engineering firms. The names have changed, and that's why I'm downtown usually. And I usually walk to work. I've been walking to work for decades, literally. And here we'll head up Court Place in Wells here. Loop of Chicago. Hey, the Lion King. That's for the production. There's a theater here on Randolph Street. Right behind here, there's a hotel, the Allegra Hotel, and on Randolph there's the Cadillac Palace Theater. So I guess the Lion King is playing here. So that's the production truck holding all the costumes. There's all the costumes for the Lion King there in that truck. And I think the Sound of Music was playing at the Nederlander. There's Wells Street. Yeah, Running Man, how you doing there? Oh, you got some Halloween decorations, Ricky. Hey, we'll check it out there. Thanks for putting up some Halloween decorations there. Yeah, we'll try to check it out there. Let us know. Thanks for decorating there. That's why I want to. People put like you put up so much effort to put it out. We might as well show it so everybody else can see it and comment on it.
Are you Brian?
Yeah, Brian Really Chicago. How you doing? Hey, thanks for saying. Yeah, it's okay. Hey, that's good. I'm on YouTube now because I'm getting away from TikTok. Hey, how you doing?
Right.
Thanks for saying hello. Hey, thanks, good. Very nice, good. Yeah. Very nice. See, friends and neighbors, people saying hello. I didn't even get her name. And She's like, there's the guy, I recognize his voice. He's the crazy guy walking around all the time. I'm not the only one. I was walking around with Ernie and Overtime Seb there yesterday. We saw J City Walking Girl. We're all crazy live streamers. What's wrong with the world? Yeah, Chicago. Oh, he's got a giant skull. That's good, Gene. Yeah. Got a giant skull on the Porsche. Yeah. Very nice. Found me on YouTube. Kurt, thanks for finding me. Thanks. I'm easy to find. I got the same name as TikTok on YouTube there. People, they're like, a lot of people are like, oh, we miss you. Why are you streaming? Why can't we find your stream? I said, just go to YouTube. It's free. Oh, I can't do that. I'm like, what? If you can watch me on TikTok, you can watch me on YouTube. It hurts my feelings that people are they're more loyal to TikTok than my content, you know. Most content creators are on multiple platforms. You have to be, because one platform can go down for any number of reasons, you know. And some people stream on multiple platforms at the same time, but I don't like doing that because you could violate the terms and conditions of the one social media company and not the other, because they got different terms and conditions, different words you can't say, different things you can't do. Hey, they're working on the street here. So this is, yeah, that's, so this is the intersection of two elevated train tracks as they enter the loop. See, that's the loop that's down Wells Street. That's Lake Street. Lake Street, you go all the way to Oak Park through Austin and Garfield Park. And you can also take the pink line down to Pilsen Little Village that way too. We're going to cross here Wells and Lake Street. Here we'll head across here. Oh, they still got the lights on. Hey, the Doghouse Burgers and Brews. Hey, Margie, how you doing there? Oh, Neil McCoy Ward walks around UK. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, thanks, Gene. There's a lot of good live streamers in the UK. There's About London. She has a huge social media following there. Here's the Kimball. This is the Brown Line. Brown Line. Thanks, Chad. How you doing there? Sergi Cash. Driving home from the stables, Margie R. That's good. Hey, thanks for... That sounds nice. Hanging out at the stables. So Neil McCoy Ward. Okay, Maria, how you doing there? Catch you later. Thanks for watching there. Ricky. Kurt. Yeah. Hey, we'll cross the street here at Merchandise Mart. Yeah, we'll head down to Riverwalk. We got 15 minutes to get back to Michigan Avenue. I think we can do it here. It's Wacker Drive, Upper Wacker Drive. We're crossing here at Wells Street. And we'll let's see if we can cross here. Anybody coming? Oh, here they're coming. They're coming. They're coming. There, we'll head down. Here comes the boat. Here's the water taxi there. We took the water taxi. If you want to see what it's like, a nighttime ride on the water taxi from Chinatown, I posted 2 videos. I split it into 2. These are the first segments from Roosevelt Road Bridge there to Ogilvy Riverside Plaza, and then the second one we sat there for like 15 minutes, so I cut that out so you didn't have to wait through all that. And then we had a second video where we go from Riverside Plaza all the way to the Wrigley building with the beautiful skyline views at night on a water taxi. But we were on a yellow Wendella one. That's a shoreline there. But hey, Chicago Riverwalk, we made it here. Atlas State Sitters, yeah. We'll check it out if we ever go by there. Thanks. Yeah, so yeah, on the top of the Board of Trade is the statue to the goddess Ceres, the Greek goddess of grain. In Chicago, we call it the Greek goddess of corn because the Chicago Board of Trade eventually became the commodities exchange for corn, but also pork bellies, cattle, soybeans, all that stuff. The Board of Trade, Chicago Board of Trade. But yeah, they put a Art Deco masterpiece there, the Chicago Board of Trade. They put a statue to the Greek goddess of Ceres. That's where we get cereal, right? Cereal comes out of Ceres. So there you go. All your Greek root words there. It's like my big fat Greek wedding to dad. He's like, every word goes back to a Greek word, including cereal. Here's, hey, you got the electric boats here. Here comes a large barge here, sightseeing. One boat goes one way, one goes the other. Here, we're underneath. Hey, how you doing?
Can I get a photo?
Oh, that's doing fine. Hey, what's your name, man?
Jeevan, I have a photo of you
good.
like last year.
That's good. Let's do an update. I'm all sweaty, but hey, go ahead. Yeah, let's get it with the skyline here. Thanks for saying hello. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Hey, go Cubs. We'll see what happens tonight. I don't know if you're a Sox fan, but
big Cubs guy.
Good. Hey, we'll see what happens. Okay, thanks. Thank you. That's good. Thank you. Thanks for saying hello there. See, friends and neighbors there. We got a selfie, and yeah. See, isn't that great? We're catching. I should have got the name of the nice woman. I'm always. I don't want to be like a creep, the old guy, you know, talking to the nice young women there. But isn't it a shame, you know? I don't want to be considered a creep, you know, but appreciate when anybody, men, women, old, any age, says hello. And I'm just trying to be respectful. I'm usually just overwhelmed that people recognize me and appreciate this content, which because not everybody does. Some people are like, they'll be like, they'll see me and not like me, and I understand that too. But hey, look at everybody sitting there. There's the yellow water taxis there. And yeah, people are with the dogs here. The trees are starting to lose their leaves here, signs of fall. These trees always gain their leaves first, and they're probably like the first to lose it. These are kind of protected down here. And it's been really dry. I think they're just drying up because we haven't gotten much rain. I don't know how they must irrigate them there the way they are there. But here, welcome to Chicago Riverwalk. There's some kayakers here, October the 6th. Still kayakers in the water. There were still people swimming in the lake. Yeah, I got fans there. Yeah, you got the Architecture River Tour, yeah. Pork bellies. Trading spaces, you got it, 6 man. Yeah, that was Philadelphia, but Philadelphia at that time added a commodity exchange, just like Chicago, New York. I think even San Francisco had one at that time. But now it's all been digitized. Chicago still has the Mercantile Exchange, the Chicago Board of Exchange, but we don't see the guys with the color-coded jackets there, the open outcry in the pits, and like trading spaces where they had to do the hand calls and write down the number. And it's all digital now. It's all algo, high-frequency trading. Market only goes in one direction now. They got us all snookered. We'll never catch up to the rich people. They're already rich, and they'll never lose their fortune, right? Tiny cafe. Detective John Kimball. It's not a tumor. Who's your daddy, and what does he do? Hey, thanks for getting these crazy references here. Yeah, we'll go by Tiny Tap here. Yeah, how you doing there? Hey, thanks for saying hello. That's good. See friends and neighbors there. House of Blues. Yeah. People jogging. Prince. Yeah, there's not much fall. Oh, there's not much fall color in Tennessee. Yeah, usually people, like especially the Smoky Mountains, people try to go there specifically certain times of year to get the fall colors. So yeah, I think it's too dry. Here's the Tiny Tap here, the skeleton. Yeah. Ireland, thanks Brian, thanks for tuning in. How you doing there? Yeah, we both have a nice Gaelic name there, the Bryans. Bryans of the world unite. No alcohol. Yeah, the weather is nice. The weather is like 80 degrees. This weekend was summer-like. It's going to maybe cool down for the marathon. The marathon's this coming Sunday, so I plan to cover the Chicago Marathon. I think they had like a half marathon or something yesterday. I missed that. But hey, I posted some of those speakers yesterday we saw at the meeting there at St. Pius. I'll transfer that stuff, some of it to TikTok, so it'll get more exposure. And I can't imagine the comments we're going to get from those speakers, which is good. We'll get engagement, yeah. Positive names, everything. But hey, I respect their right to say it there. We got to talk about what's going on in the world there, and it's affecting people like Ernie and the people that were at that meeting there. They were some of them were raided by ICE, and they were giving their personal stories. So there's Chicago Riverwalk. We're by the City Winery here. We went by here Saturday night. There were boats lined up. They're still working on the State Street Bridge. There's Marina Towers. This client's waited too long. I didn't mean to keep you waiting there, T-Lime. Sorry. Doing the best we can there. Chad. Oh yeah, they had the movie where the car drives out. That's the Marina Towers there. Yeah, I think at the early 1980s. I think it was a Steve McQueen movie. They drove a car out the parking garage. You have to use valets. They don't trust people to park their own cars for that reason. You could easily back over the rail. See how at the bottom they have to park in parallel, and then and the valets, they got like this elevator where they jump on and it takes them straight down. I want to see if I can catch the valets using that sometime. That's the Marina Towers. This is Bertrand Goldberg. Bertrand Goldberg was the architect. We went by the River City, which is in the South Loop there on Saturday. You can see that in the view right there. But hey, look, they got the big hole. They got a hole in the State Street Bridge. Really loud there. Hey, they're fishing. People often fish right here. This is a nice fishing spot right there. You go on the Riverwalk here. How you doing there? Yeah. Hey, very nice. Go Cubs. Yeah, they're fishing. This is a great fishing spot right here on the Chicago. Hey, he's got something there. Look at that. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, there's the Trump Tower there. You heard out. The Trump wasn't always on it when they first built it. They added it later. A corrupt Democratic alderman, his law firm took the money to do it, and now he's no longer an alderman, so he paid more of a price than the president did for anything they did. Here's the Vietnam War Memorial here. Yeah, we'll respect the military, people that are served, have served, people that paid the ultimate sacrifice in the Vietnam War, not just from Chicago, but all over the nation. This is like Chicago's version of the Vietnam War Memorial there in Washington, D.C., but we got it here along the Chicago Riverwalk. You got, see, Vietnam Veterans Memorial here. You can sit on the wall here. And we'll head back to the brew house here, Chicago Riverwalk. Beautiful 80-degree day here. Thanks for tuning in. Chicago, Illinois, Chicago River, Chicago Riverwalk. No, I do not like Trump, but I don't like many politicians. Don't read so much into that. As excited as you might be about Trump, I was never that excited about Biden because I realize he's just a politician. Most politicians let me down. I don't think there's any politician that has delivered on any of the promises. And even if you're a staunch Trump supporter, there's still inflation. There's still crime in America. And actually, like, now the government's part of the perpetrators of the crime. So I know you might like the crime. You like that the crime's being inflicted upon us evil Chicagoans that deserve to be punished because we're a sanctuary city and we have empathy for migrants. Oh, we're such horrible people because we have empathy for poor people that, you know, we don't consider them, you know, gonna slit our throats in the middle of the night there. Spread fear. We need more politicians to spread fear and hate. Yeah, thanks a lot there. I really feel he's not like the president of me. He's the president of, like, the people that like him. If you don't like him, he's not your president. Which most presidents at least do make an attempt to try to act like they're the president of all Americans. This guy does not. He wants to use the U.S. military to use U.S. cities as practice grounds on U.S. citizens to get whatever policy goals he wants to get with the migrants. And we're collateral damage, and we're not going to forget it. So we'll remember, we'll vote again, and there will be elections. I know people were worried that our democracy is going to be stolen. We're not going to stand for that. We're going to have elections. We're not going to be intimidated by masked Americans intimidating other Americans at the polling booth. We're not going to be intimidated. So go ahead and try it there. They're talking about using ICE to patrol polling stations in the midterms. You want chaos in this country? Try that, because you wouldn't accept it if the Democrats would do that. You would not accept it if Antifa stood there in the mask and intimidated people at the poll. Why should we accept ICE? Because they're recruiting racist people. All you have to do is call that number. And what are they doing to check the background of people who work for ICE to make sure they're not members of hate groups? You know? So here. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to the Wrigley Building. Welcome to the Tribune Tower, the Marketplace, Chicago Riverwalk. I'm going to head back to work here. Check out the videos on YouTube that I just posted from the meeting. We went to a meeting they're trying to organize for November the 5th, November the 5th in Washington, D.C. There's going to be a national mobilization, people protesting on the mall there. And before that, October the 18th, there's going to be the No Kings protest. Grant Park, Chicago, Monroe Field, Butler Field. We're going to have a Chicago protest October the 18th. I think it's a weekend. It's coming up. We'll be telling you more about that. And I respect people's right to air their grievances, First Amendment free speech rights of assembly. And we're not going to be intimidated by other Americans trying to question dissent, because we accepted January 6th dissent whether we like it or not.
I think we're standing on top. I think it might be.
Are you looking for something, or?
The
bridge house? Yeah, you go down, and then there's an entrance like right there. I guess it's open, and then you can walk all the way up there. There's beautiful views.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's nice. I think it's free, but it's closed. Yeah, it might be closed for you, but it's there. You go down. Thank you. It's good. Hey, they were looking for the McCormick Bridge house. I could tell they saw him. I'm like out of breath because I'm out of shape. But going up the stairs here. How can I be out of shape? I walk 10 miles a day. There's hey, welcome to Chicago here. I get pontificating going upstairs, and that's why I lose my breath here. Here stood Fort Dearborn. Yeah, you can see it right in the sidewalk there. There it is. So hey, I'm gonna head back to work here. Here's Michigan Avenue. There's that nice view of the Wrigley, the Tribune. And we're under the London House here. Well, Chad, it's hard for me to stay apolitical. Ernie, Chicago Nuggies, is a fellow live streamer. Would you stay non-political if your friend, a fellow U.S. citizen, a live streamer, was grabbed from behind by ICE, slammed up against the hood of a car, demanded to show proof of citizenship? He showed him his real ID, the one with the star. They said that does nothing. Luckily, Ernie had his Social Security card, a card that has not a picture. It's this old piece of paper that we all get, Social Security card. They accepted that as his proof of citizenship, his Social Security card. And after 5 minutes, after they put a taser in his back, they released him. So you're asking me to be non-political and just accept that? A friend of mine is treated that way, and he's subject to be harassed again because the Supreme Court has said ICE is allowed to racially profile people. If you were being affected by that, I think you would get political too. All politics is local. We feel it more in this city. We feel it more in LA. We feel it more in Memphis and New York and Washington, D.C. Because Washington, D.C. is being occupied right now. And people that live there, it is affecting, Here, let's go underneath here. I'm heading down. Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll head down to the lower levels of Michigan and Wackerd across the street here. I like doing this because it serves me a purpose. It gets me across the street by going underground here. Here's the lower level of Michigan. There's Lower Wackerd that way, Lower Wackerd Drive. They use this in the Blues Brothers movie. They use this in the Batman movies, Transformers, The Untouchables. See how there's loading docks. And we'll head across here. That's north. The Michigan Avenue Bridge goes across the river. This is south. Here's Lakeshore East is all this way. And you can connect to Wackerd Drive this way. And then here we'll pop. Look, somebody put a scooter down here. There's a bike. There's a divvy bike. There's a scooter down here. I guess they didn't want to ride it up the stairs. CM Punk. See him later. Yeah, CM Wings. But hey, I'm going to head back to work. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And believe me, I accept opposing viewpoints. I have friends that are conservatives that are Trump supporters. I have family members that are conservatives or Trump supporters, but I am not a Trump supporter. So thanks to them for not disowning me, because I have different political opinions than they do. Think for yourself. You know, I expect pushback, but I didn't think it would be this much. Here's the Wrigley building. And I'm pretty depressed because I can't believe this many people support that guy. And I'm talking about Trump. That's why I'm depressed, because you know, it's not the majority, but it's enough for him to maintain political power, and that includes Congress. I'm actually more pissed off at Congress, because Congress is not doing their job to check the executive branch. And this will come back to haunt Republicans, trust me. So hey, take care everybody. Have a good rest of your Monday. We'll be on after 5 o'clock. We'll see if it's raining by then, and we'll go look for Halloween decorations. Thanks, mods. You guys are great. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later. All right, bye. Thanks a lot. How many people tuned?